Hi, I'm Congressman Scott Perry. At the beginning of each week the Congress is in session, I send out a brief update about the bills the House of Representatives likely will consider. The bills this week are as follows. Senate 2086, the Reliable Home Heating Act, which would allow governors greater autonomy when they declare emergencies without the need for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration to declare that a disaster exists beyond the existing 30-day declarations that are available to governors. The legislation would also require the Energy Information Administration to provide early warnings to governors if the inventory of residential heating fuel falls below the most recent 5-year average for more than 3 consecutive weeks. H.R. 4092, the Streamlining Energy Efficiency for Schools Act of 2014, which would establish a clearinghouse through the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. The clearinghouse will publish information on federal programs and financing tools that may be used to develop energy efficiency, distributed generation, and the energy retrofitting projects for schools. Concur in the Senate amendment to H.R. 316, the Collinsville Renewable Energy Production Act, which will permit the town of Canton, Connecticut to operate two small, currently inactive hydropower dams and generate locally produced power. H.R. 4801 identifies cost-effective opportunities for federal agencies to use energy and water more efficiently. Senate 1044, the World War II Memorial Prayer Act of 2013, which directs the Secretary of the Interior to install at the World War II Memorial in the District of Columbia a suitable plaque or an inscription with the words that President Franklin D. Roosevelt prayed with the United States on June 6, 1944, the morning of D-Day. H.R. 4002, which accepts the request of the Miami Tribe of Oklahoma to revoke the charter of incorporation issued to that tribe. H.R. 412, the Nashua River Wild and Scenic River Study Act, which would authorize the National Park Service to conduct a study on the Nashua River and two of its tributaries to determine their eligibility for designation as wild and scenic rivers. H.R. 4413, the Customer Protection and End User Relief Act, which reauthorizes the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, ensures robust markets, customer protections, and a balanced approach to regulations that impact job creators. Senate 1681, the Intelligence Authorization Act of Fiscal Year 2014, which authorizes appropriations for fiscal years 2014 and 2015 for intelligence and intelligence-related activities, the United States government, the Community Management Account, and the Central Intelligence Agency Retirement and Disability System, and for other purposes. H.R. 1098, the Traumatic Brain Injury Reauthorization Act of 2013, which reauthorizes traumatic brain injury, TBI, surveillance activities at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, grants for service and support for individuals and family members coping with a TBI, and extends an interagency program for basic and clinical trauma research led by the National Institutes of Health. H.R. 1281, the Newborn Screening Save Lives Reauthorization Act of 2013, which would reauthorize the Newborn Screening Saves Lives Act of 2008 to continue federal activities that assist states in improving their newborn screening programs, supporting parents and provider newborn screening education, and ensuring laboratory quality and surveillance. H.R. 3548, the Improving Trauma Care Act of 2014, which would amend the Public Health Service Act to improve the definition of trauma by including injuries caused by thermal, electrical, chemical, or radioactive force. H.R. 4080, the Trauma Systems and Regionalization of Emergency Care Reauthorization Act, which would reauthorize trauma care systems planning grants which support state and rural development of trauma systems. It would also reauthorize pilot projects to implement and assess regionalized emergency care models. H.R. 4631, the Autism Cares Act of 2014, which would reauthorize the Combating Autism Reauthorization Act to continue autism-related federal research, early identification and intervention, education, and activities of the Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee. H.R. 3301, the North American Energy Infrastructure Act, which would allow changes to the permitting process for cross-border pipelines to finally allow for the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. H.R. 6, the Domestic Prosperity and Global Freedom Act, which would reduce from 90 days to 30 days the amount of time for the Energy Department to decide on pending LNG export applications. And H.R. 4899, the Lowering Gasoline Prices to Fuel in America That Works Act of 2014, which would help ease the pain at the pump for American families and businesses by expanding production of American energy resources. As always, if you have any questions or if I may be of any assistance to you or your family in any way, please contact me at perry.house.gov. That's perry.house.gov. Again, I'm Scott Perry, and I hope you have a fantastic week.